past week I've been travelling with a friend in convoy, and we've come up from the south up into Northumbria, and then over the weekend we came into Scotland, or just literally into Scotland. Roy now has gone back down south, so I'm back on my own. Last night I stayed in Troon, and I've come along and I've actually found a place that's about 40 kilometres north and slightly west of Glasgow, and it's actually a car park which is along the West Highland Way. Now the West Highland Way is Scotland's sort of premier long distance walk, if you like. It's 154 miles long and a very popular walk. Now I haven't come to walk the West Highland Way, but I found that it was possible to stay at this car park. There is a sign which is really interesting, because it does say that motorhomes and campervans can stay for one night, providing that you are completely self-sufficient. At the moment it's free. There is a note on the signage to say that this is an experiment that the Scottish Government is doing, and it runs through to October, the end of October of this year. So as far as today is concerned, I'm parked up now. It's quite sunny. It's not as hot as they're getting down in the south. Apparently they're having a bit of a heat wave down in the south, but it's around 21 degrees here. So I'm going to have a relaxing afternoon, or what's left of the afternoon. It's almost 5 o'clock now actually. And then tomorrow morning I'm going to set off and head west, going out towards, Fort William, then going up towards Loch Lomond, Glencoe and those sort of areas. So this is my front garden this morning. This is what I woke up to. Hear the birds in the background. Yeah, super spot. Very relaxing, very peaceful. So I had a quiet night last night, parked up in the little car park that I found. It's quite busy actually. After I arrived and I was on my own, 4 other people turned up in their campers, so yeah, it's quite busy for a small campsite. Yeah, it was a quiet night. Woke up this morning, it's a bit overcast again, but coming out for a walk in the Loch Lomond area obviously, so yeah, it's pretty good. This walk's not that long, probably about 4 miles round trip. Good to get a little bit of exercise in the mornings. So today I'm going to be following the Milburn Trail. I've come from the car park, just going to start heading up this way. So it's a reasonably easy track today. As I said, about 4 miles round trip. So yeah, pretty easy, but nice to be in the woods, that's for sure. And it's been a good stop. Typical, I suppose, of the weather. We had rain last night, although the sun's starting to come out this morning. But yeah, it's been pretty good. The sign says only 1 van at a time, but to be honest, there's been 2 or 3 here the last couple of nights. And in fact, the warden came around last night and he was fine. He was more looking for people making a mess, which obviously everyone wasn't. So that was pretty good. Okay, so I'm all topped up. The cupboards are full. Just been to do a shop in Aldi's here in Alexandria, I think it is, the town, small town. But yeah, at least I've got some food for the next few days. So I'm now going to start having a look at the map, see where I can head to for today. I want to get a little bit further north and west if I can, but yeah, see how far I get. Fortunately the sun's come out, so it's looking a bit better than it did this morning, but yeah, let's see how far we go. So I've just left Alexandria, where I've managed to stock up with some provisions, and I'm now on the A82 heading north towards Tarbet. And from there, I'm not sure whether I'm going to go then up towards Crianlarich, or I'm going to turn west and make a loop going out towards the west. I'm not really sure yet. I've got a few miles to go before I have to make that decision. This is Loch Lomond that I'm currently driving along. the A82, too far from Tibet. Yeah. So these are the falls of Thalak. I've just come to stop out off the A82 on my way up to Korean Larak, and you can see the falls as they go down the river beside me. And if I turn around in a moment, you'll see. It feels so good to be out in the wilderness in nature again. Really missed this over the past month or so. Morning guys. So last night I spent the night in a place called Amtor. Amtor is actually a woodland area just off the A82 going up towards Glencoe. It's not an official motorhome campervan parking spot, but it's free and it's tolerated that we can stop. I've stayed here in fact a couple of times over the past few years, but it's a good little stop. Unfortunately it rained all night, so it was quite wet this morning, but I did manage to get down to the one of the walks, the short walks down to the water flow, and the water was absolutely gushing down from obviously the overnight rain coming down off the mountains. So yeah, it was pretty good, but unfortunately there was absolutely no cell reception there whatsoever. So rather than stay there, as I needed to get in use the cell, I decided to move on a bit, so I've actually come down towards Glencoe. The good news is I woke up this morning to sunshine, which makes a big difference. So a little later, approaching Ben Nevis, I came to the Commando Memorial. It's a Category A listed monument in Loch Lomond, Scotland, and it's dedicated to the many of the original British Commando forces which were formed during World War II. It's situated about a mile from Spleen Bridge and overlooks the training areas that the Commandos would have been in during its establishment in 1942 in the area. It was unveiled by the Queen in 1952, and it's one of Scotland's best known monuments, both as a war memorial and as a tourist attraction. It was in these mountains and in this area that the Commandos would have trained before going off to war, a war from which many didn't return. Good afternoon folks. Well, I just found this amazing spot to park up. Not an easy spot to find, it's got to be said, because it's away from the main road. It's really quiet. The views are amazing. I'll show you the views in a moment. But it's perfect. There's no signs to say that you can't stay the night. In fact, when I arrived, there was a forest ranger in his van just parked by the parking spot on his phone. He saw me come in, he saw me park up, didn't say a word, and after about 10 minutes drove off. So obviously if the ranger was there and it wasn't allowed, he would have said something, but he didn't. So here I am. and I'm looking forward to a quiet night and an evening and a quiet night. So yeah, things are really good. And the other great thing, I must be really lucky, because the last couple of times I've been to Scotland, it's got to be said, it's probably much the same time of the year. I've not had any problems with the midges that everyone talks about. Most people say, "Oh, don't go to Scotland. It's, there's millions of midges and things like that." But to be honest, I haven't seen hardly anything in the way of insect midges or any mosquitoes or anything else. And this trip is much the same. So I've been really lucky from that point of view. Because this is such a good spot, I might even stay a couple of nights. But let me swivel the camera around and I'll show you the views that I've got from the park up. Okay, so that's the end of this second leg of this Scottish trip. Thanks for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe and join me on the next episode.